y'all, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. So today my new video for you guys is all about battling popularity as a Christian or struggling with friends as a Christian. Popularity and or friendship is a huge struggle for everybody, especially girls and especially Christian girls. I've always said that making friends is easy, but keeping them is harder, and not necessarily because of anything you can or can't do. But everyone, if you're nice to them, instantly wants to be friends. And then as they get to know you more, even if it's little things like differences in opinion, they may not just want to be your friend anymore. And you can't really do much about that. It's hard to keep friends. Especially in this day and age, I feel like everyone's kind of been groomed to the thought of, if you don't think like me, we can't associate. And that's so strange to me because I've never been one to judge other people for thinking different. Like, I think what I think, and I'm not changing what I think because of you, and I'm not gonna let you bully me because of what I think. But at the same time, if you think differently, I'm just gonna be like, oh, okay. Okay. It doesn't need to be deeper than that to me. And if you're a good person with a good heart and a good soul and good intentions, what else should matter, you know? So I feel like it's very hard because you'll meet people, at least in my experience, I've met people who say they're Christian, they say that they're a bunch of things, and then once you start actually talking about the theology and philosophy of the Bible and getting into conversations about stuff like that, you find out they're really people who want to say that they're Christian because it sounds good, and they disagree with everything in the Bible and they're ready to argue against God in the Bible because of this, and that. And it's like the types of people who are more concerned with being woke and culturally accepted than they are with being real and firm and standing by any true beliefs. It's really hard nowadays to decipher Christians from Christians. My pastor actually, he was doing a Q&A on Instagram not that long ago, and so I forget how it came up, but he put up a quote that says, when their bio says Bible, but their feed says body. We all know those people. We all know those people. No shade to anyone in specific. I'm honestly not even thinking of anyone specific right now, but I know that I've met those people. And we all know somebody like that who is Christian because it looks good, but then their lifestyle doesn't reflect that, and they're willing to combat everything in the Bible and try to argue with God. And it's like, who are you to argue with God and tell him that he's wrong just because Twitter might think that's unacceptable? Like, weird. So that being said, you guys know, I'm sure if you've experienced anything remotely close to being a human, that it's really hard to find quality friends that will stick around for a long time. It's easy to find a bunch of okay friends who are funny. Maybe they'll comment on your Instagram pictures and make you feel good. Maybe they'll half-heartedly text you once in a while because of a group setting. But how many people actually check up on you? How many people care about you and your heart and your soul? It's really hard because I've fallen victim to thinking that some people would be there for me forever, and then they're not. And it's not necessarily because anything happened, but just because they were never as invested as I thought they were in the first place. And that can really hurt. Deciphering Christians from Christians when trying to form those types of godly friendships is really hard, but you need to remember that popularity shouldn't be a determining factor in your decisions with friends. You're not going to be friends with every single person you meet in your life, and that's something that actually took me a long time to realize, because I've always been the type of person who thinks of everyone as a friend until they show me very clearly that they are not my friend. And that's something that has hurt me a lot in the past and has hurt my heart severely, because I just assume that everyone has the intentions I have, and I assume that everyone wants to be friends with everyone, because like, why wouldn't you want to be, you know? So really taking time to invest in your circle pays off, because I would much rather have 4 good friends. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. People will leave over the simplest of things, like differences in opinion. People will leave and not be friends with you anymore because of political reasons. People will leave and not be friends with you anymore because of religious reasons. I actually lost a friend fairly recently because she had a bunch of opinions that went against the Bible, which are fine, but she wasn't okay with my opinions aligning with the Bible, which again is fine, that's her prerogative, but I'm also not going to sway my opinion and say that I disagree with the Bible just to try to be liked or accepted by somebody. And so that's something really hard, is that I've lost friends before because I stand by the word, and I'm not going to say that I don't agree with or believe with what the word says. And a lot of people aren't in that place in life. And to me, it hurts extra because it's like, I'm willing to accept you as just a person and love you regardless, but you can't do the same for me. And so, it just causes a bunch of heartache, which is not easy, but we move on and we move forward because I'd much rather stick by God than stick by people. You need to make sure you're living for the word and not living for the world. And it's not easy to do. It's actually really hard to do, but that includes in your friendships. You need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are living for the word instead of living for the world, because you want to be encouraged. You want to be with equally yoked people, like-minded people. I am a friend to everyone I meet, regardless of what they think, but my close circle, especially as of recently, has been becoming more and more Christ-centered. And that's something that I didn't really realize I was lacking in until I met people who are actually Christ-centered. And it's really encouraging. Everyone needs to remember that whenever they're experiencing friendship hurt. You need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with those people who care about you, who are living for the word and not the world. I've experienced this since middle school, y'all. People are gonna throw labels at you, they're gonna call you names, and they're gonna attack you just because they don't understand yet. Because maybe they're not mature enough to be in that place of life yet where they recognize that God and his word are not gonna fail you. Him and his love are not gonna abandon you. And you just have to power through. It's hard to sit there and be pushed aside by your peers. It's hard to be the one that they make fun of, to be the one that they make jokes about, to be the one they talk about in groups, the one that they throw labels at. And trust me, it hurts because people will throw labels at you without either fully understanding what the labels mean, like the true meaning behind those labels, or without really knowing you as a person. And I experienced that a lot when I was bullied in middle school. It was a lot of teasing because of my religion and my religious beliefs. And I was always so confused because these were people who were Christian. So that's when I really started struggling with friends, because I realized that not everyone who says they're a Christian is actually trying to strive and live by the word of God. And that's when you need to move on and just realize they're not the friend for me. It's okay if I'm not popular. It's not important. Suffering is an expected element of Christian living. The Bible tells us that the unbelieving world will always remain deeply hostile to Christians. It's been like that for all of history. It will continue to be like that for the foreseeable future. The world doesn't like God. The world itself rejected God. The world itself rejected Jesus, the most perfect person to ever live, the most loving person to ever exist. Jesus is love, and he was still hated. Being hated because you're a Christian, being disliked because you're a Christian, struggling with friendships because you're a Christian is something you can expect. It's something you should expect. And that's something I had to struggle with growing up because I didn't understand why. But suffering is an expected element of Christian living. The unbelieving world will always remain deeply hostile to those who are Christian. And that's something we need to work through and stand firm in. Stand by God and his word when people are being rude to you, when you're struggling to make friends because you're a Christian. I wanted to read y'all a couple of Bible verses here. So starting off, I wanted to read y'all John 15:18. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. So then I want to continue on with verses 19 and 20. If you were of the world would love you as its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they kept my word, they will also keep yours. That just goes to show that you cannot battle this. And this is something we have to work through as Christians. The world hated Jesus. The world hated the most perfect person to ever exist. The world hated love itself. What makes you think that everyone in the world is going to love you? Christians should not be surprised that unbelievers in the world hate them. This follows a pattern that we've seen throughout all of humanity. This is a pattern we've seen since Cain murdered Abel. And it's also especially seen in the world's reaction to Christ himself. Press forward, y'all. Making friends as a Christian is hard. Trying to obtain this popularity that we all hear about from the time we're like 5 years old is impossible. Just press forward. Being teased and made fun of because you're a Christian can start young and continue on into your adult years. It's not easy, but because of that, I want to read y'all a couple of verses that have always helped me. So this is Matthew 5:10 through 12. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter the kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. God is pleased when his people show him that we value him above anything and anyone that the world has to offer. And this can happen when we remain faithful amid opposition for righteousness' sake. Just as Jesus experienced opposition and rejection, his disciples can expect the exact same. But remember, like that verse just said, our reward isn't on earth, it's in heaven. So when battling this concept in society of friends and popularity, I want to just leave you guys with this question that really hits home for me. Whose kingdom are you really trying to grow? His or yours? I know that this is a really sensitive topic. I've always struggled with friendships because I've always been bullied for as long as I can remember for being Christian. And it's not easy. It never goes away and it never gets easier, really. But these last couple years in particular, I've just grown in my faith so much. I can truly handle anything because I know that God is by my side. And Jesus experienced it first, you guys. He understands what we're going through. So go to him, pray to him, seek guidance, and look at his word. There are verses upon verses that are ready to help you. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful that you're here. Just know, even if I don't specifically know who watches this video, I'm praying for each and every one of y'all who watched this. Thank you so much for being here. Again, it truly means a lot. I truly hope this video helped even one person out there who's ever struggled with those insecurities surrounding friendships and popularity as a Christian. All right, y'all, so please go ahead and like, subscribe, comment down below. It would mean the world to me. Please don't forget to also check out my description box. I have a bunch of my other pages linked. My blog is linked below. I post on there every Monday, and hopefully there's something useful in there for you. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.